Okay, so I'm gonna just explain that a little bit again. So the presentation, okay, so it's a 10-minute spoken presentation. It's not like a PowerPoint presentation. It's more like a speech or a monologue. So you'll be kind of speaking to the other learners in the exam and the invigilator. You're allowed to bring, paper with you. So I'd recommend bringing all the notes that you prepared, literally everything you've used to prepare for the test, please bring it with you on the day. Um, Anything you're not allowed to use, we would tell you on the day, but just assume that you're allowed to use your notes. That's fine. Bring them 100%. Um, you're not allowed to, just read off the paper. Like you're not allowed to just sit there and read word for word everything. But what you are allowed to do is, talk and then have natural pauses where you look back at your notes to check, okay, what am I saying for this section? And then, going back and returning to speaking. I'll answer questions just after this slide. So if you have any questions, just hold them for a minute. Um, so yeah. Um, so ensuring you bring the relevant, kind of preparation and your notes is important. It'll help you a lot in the exam, and will make it a lot quicker as well. Generally, we say the exams you should be here from 10 o'clock, and you might be here from 10 till 1 o'clock. Now that's purely dependent on firstly how quickly you guys finish and how well you are prepared. The less well you're prepared, the longer the exam will take for everyone. So we strongly urge learners to stick to the advice we tell them, and as long as they do that, you will have prepared enough and you should be in a good, strong position to pass the test. Um, Another thing that I think is important to kind of note for the speaking exam is, kind of understanding pronunciations or any concepts in your notes that you don't understand. So for example, we have a vague holiday topic that we're running for the speaking exam right now. So most of your topics, if you're doing an SLC in the coming weeks, will be based on um, something to do with your booking a holiday, essentially. So one of them, for example, is, how could you book a holiday on a budget? You know, so then you could mention museums generally have free entry, or public transport instead of, taxis is a good way to save money. Um, just a few things, right? I'm not going to go too much into that, but just understanding those things, making sure you know how to talk about those things. Especially one thing I would say is hard words to pronounce, making sure that you know how to pronounce them, or changing the wording so you don't have to have that hard word to pronounce. Because sometimes when learners will try and say a quite complicated word and they can't pronounce it, they'll end up stuttering and they'll stay on the same word for about 10, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. And that can, I think, make them quite nervous, make them forget, and then make them panic. And you don't want to panic in this exam because if you mess up a word for 10, 15 seconds, it's not a big deal. You can just keep moving on. But some people, some students in their head, I think they get quite stressed and they panic. So practicing your pronunciations, practicing the concepts, and making sure you understand everything you're going to be talking about in the presentation is very important, and I can't stress that enough. Also, I think, as I mentioned, it's a 10-minute presentation. Now, it's quite tough to make 10 minutes to talk about. Um, so I would say just, going online, using every available resource that you can find and just waffling, honestly. You obviously need to talk about the topic and stay to the title of the presentation. But I think you can, you know, explain things in a bit more of a roundabout way, if that makes sense. Just talking around the point a bit just to add some extra time if needed. But otherwise that should be fine. That 10 minute that 10 minute by the way time it needs to be about 10 minutes. So when you're preparing, if you prepare for at least 10 minutes, when you get to the exam, no matter how quickly you panic, or sorry, learners can panic and they read it quite quickly sometimes. So they think they've prepared 10 minutes of presentation, then they get to the exam and it takes 6 minutes. And that's not enough to meet the mark for the SLC. So make sure you've timed yourself um, in at home, doing your presentation, make sure it lasts around 10 minutes. And if it lasts around 10 minutes and you come to the exam and you get it to last at least 9 minutes, you should be okay. That should be a reasonable enough time for the presentation. Um, After the presentation, I mentioned how other learners will ask you questions. So you'll say, "Thank you for listening to my presentation. Does anyone have any questions?" And then learners would ask you questions. But how we recommend to prepare for this is that you prepare 6 questions yourself on your own presentation. So um, yeah. So you would prepare the 6 questions, and then in the exam, or before the start of the exam, you would say to a learner, "Excuse me, could you please ask me these questions at the end of my presentation?" They'll say thank you, and then they will ask you to do the same, most likely. Um, so I would recommend doing that because then you know what they're going to ask you, you know how to answer the questions, and they know what they're going to ask you. It makes it easier for both you and the other learners. So preparing those, I recommend strongly. That's everything on the speaking exam, guys, from my side. And I know I went through that quite quickly. So if there's any questions or anything anyone wants to ask about the speaking exam, let me know now. No, no questions, anyone? Nothing?
Sorry, Arjun.
Yep, hi.
Just got a question. Is it this session only for English or maths as well?
It's both. So I'll be going to the maths in a second. Sorry. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. I just going through the English and then I'll be getting to the maths afterwards.
All right. Cool.
Um, okay, so I'll move on from the speaking one. So the reading and writing is the second and third element of the English qualification, and it's also very tricky. So preparing for them is very important. Just from your side, just making sure that you don't waste an attempt on those. So the reading and writing test. So how would you prepare for these tests, right? So I don't know if any of you guys have had a chance to go onto the Moodle yet, but I'm just gonna share my screen. One second. Um, yeah. Okay, can everyone see that now? I think so. Uh, yeah, okay, right. So what I have open right now, guys, is the Moodle, right? And this is how you would access kind of the practice resources and some instructional videos on the for reading and writing or the functional skills or any other course you're doing with us. So for me, oh, I don't know what's going on here. Just give me a second. One second, guys. Okay, it's working again. Sorry, one second. Um, okay, there we go. So now we've logged onto the Moodle. I'm just going to show you guys how you can access some practice resources and some helpful stuff for preparing for the reading and writing. So, for example, I'm going to go on to the reading. And as you can see here, we just have different kind of drop down kind of menus. Each one is a different kind of section or topic that you should study for the reading test. So, main points of text. We have a short instructional video here that kind of covers everything you need to know about the topic. You know, goes through, explains everything you need to know. 5 minutes, very quick, pretty simple. And then afterwards, what I would recommend is going through some of the questions. So we have practice questions attached, which are topic based. So you watch a video based on a topic, you can go through the PowerPoint afterwards, which is just another kind of just bit of information, has a few explanations, maybe a few practice questions as well. So those are very good to go through. And then once you've gone through those PowerPoints, answer these questions here. Um, Print them out, type it, however you want to do it. It's up to you. And then once you've done that, you can send them to myself, Arjun at UK University. If you guys need my email, I'll put it in the chat in a second. But I can mark any piece of work that you give me, any practice that you've done, send it to me. I'll mark it. I'll give you some feedback, some areas to improve, and then maybe some extra exercises that you might want to complete moving forward to help your preparation. Um, so we have a video for each topic, explaining it each time with questions below. Sometimes they'll have the answers, sometimes not. If they don't have the answers, that's when you'd email me. If they have the answers and you still want some extra feedback, of course, still email it to me. Um, so going through those is the first step, I would say, to make sure that you're prepared, or are you prepared for the functional skills test. So doing that is kind of one thing you can check off. The second thing I would recommend is practicing the tests on the NCFE website. So this link I've sent in the group chats before, but I'll send it again if anyone wants it. So this page has practice tests for reading, writing, maths, all three, and it's great because you can basically take it like a real test. So I'm going to go on to the reading test, for example. This is what you would see if you were taking the test, like in the center with us, right? It's a kind of simulated example of what it would be like. Um, and then you get to take a practice test online. So it's the same length of time, same level of difficulty, and it'll give you a good kind of indication whether you are prepared and whether you have the correct amount of knowledge to come sit a test successfully and pass in the center. I would recommend that a 70% mark or higher is what you should be aiming for to be achieving in the practice tests, so that when you come in person, you're even with a little bit of decrease, you should be able to meet the pass mark for the English. So, like this is what the test would look like. It gives you a good example um, of what it would be like, how it would go. The timing is the same, so it's a very good way of practicing it. And Adam, it's the same thing for the maths, right? So I'll just go and show that quickly. The writing is the same, and then the maths is here. You should read that before you do it, but I'm just skipping through that. So it's the same thing for the maths, right? You have a practice session, you type your answer in here, whatever. It doesn't get marked though. That's the only difference. So these are just practice tests for yourself to do. And there's also a mark scheme attached next to it here, like this. So what you should do is, I think depending on time, you should either do question and then check, did you get it right? Or you could do, for example, in the reading and writing, it's broken down into sections. So potentially if you did one section, you went, you finished that section and said, okay, now, so for example, look, this is section one. I've just finished question six, finished, whatever. Now I've done with that section. I'm going to go here, go on my mark scheme, check that first section. Did I get those right? And then I think if you're getting 70% of the questions right, or 70% of the marks, I think you should be ready to, give me a call, and we can discuss about booking you in for a functional skills test, your reading, writing, or maths, whichever one, between Monday and Friday, 9:30 to 3:30. So that's kind of everything I think I really wanted to cover. Um, does anyone have any questions for me? Anything, literally anything about, this qualification.
Yes, I have a question.
Hi, Chinyaka. How can I
Hello.
help you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Is regards to the exam, is the exam whenever we are ready, or is there any specific time for us to write
S-
the exam?
So pretty much whenever you're ready, we won't like rush you through the qualification unless you said, hey, I need it quite urgently. So the exam would be whenever you want. So the speaking exam we run only on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So that's the only thing that we do specifically. But the reading, writing, and maths, that's kind of Monday to Friday, 9:30 to 3:30. You're kind of, you call us, tell us when you're free, and we'll figure it out through there. The speaking exam is always on a Tuesday or a Thursday, and we have two sessions that run on the Tuesday and Thursday. So normally a 10 o'clock session and then maybe a 1 p.m. session if there's enough students who are
No, I'm
interested.
sitting for the maths only.
Oh, okay, right, that's fine.
Mm.
Yeah, so the maths, you would contact us whenever you're ready, whenever you want. And then
Okay.
Monday to Friday, 9:30 to 3:30, we'd have a conversation and you tell me when you're free and then I'd book you in.
Okay. Also, apart from the computer based, is there an option of doing not working on the paper, doing the exam on the paper?
So you can't do the exam on the paper because they are online tests, like even in the center they are online. But
Mm.
if you're just doing the maths, for example, you're working out, you're allowed to do that on paper. You're not like not allowed to use paper.
Okay.
Um, so what I'd recommend is that when you're doing your test, the practice tests,
Yes.
just practice those, try practice those, see how you feel on the computer doing it like that. Um, I think what I would say is that potentially if you're, much more confident writing it down on the paper compared to the computer, practice using the computer a bit. Practice that interface. Like I said, those practice tests I showed you, they
Yeah.
are they are the exact same layout, timing, everything as the actual test. So if you do one of those, you will get a good understanding of what the actual tests are like.
Yes, because what I'm saying is because I'll just be doing only one or two questions and it will
Yeah.
just time out. Is I think maybe it's not
Ah,
enough.
okay.
Yeah, because I
Okay.
was like, oh, if I'm to use this on the
Yeah.
exam, I might not really
Okay.
get what I want because it's
I
just
hear
two
you.
questions and the 30
Mm.
minutes to just time out. So that's the
The
reason.
first one, yeah. Okay, no,
Yeah.
that's fine. So what I would say is maybe figure out. So I think with the maths, there's also kind of it might be a bit knowledge based as well because some of them are quite tough. The first section, which is the non-calculated
Yeah.
section, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's quite tough because there's a lot of, mental kind of maths you have to do to deal with that. Pascal, sorry,
Yeah.
just 1 second. And but what I would say is keep doing those tests, just keep trying them.
Mm.
What I would say also with the, paper and pen. So I would do the working out on pen and paper, right? And then I would write the answer in on, I would type it in into the computer. So I
Okay.
would do most of the working out on the pen and paper, then write the answer and a few like lines of working out in
Yeah.
the test.
The computer.
Yeah, in the computer, sorry, thank you. Does that make some sense, Chineke?
Yes, yes,
I
it
hope that
does. Yes,
helped.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
great.
Thank you.
No worries. Pascal, how can I help you?
Yeah, thank you so much for the explanations.
No worries.
Yeah, I'm doing English and
Yeah.
I've done the speaking.
You've done the
So
speaking, yeah?
yes, I've done the speaking. That's
Perfect.
the presentation.
Yeah.
Now I want to ask about how to the practice for reading and writing. How
hmm
do you go to find out the answers, that you've practiced, whether you get it correctly or not? I heard you mention
Okay.
about scheme. You said
Yeah.
something about scheme, going to
Yes.
scheme.
Yeah. 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 So okay, so hold on, let me open this back up real quick. So are you referring to the Moodle, or are you referring to the NCFE, the practice test I was showing online?
I'm referring to the practice, the past questions. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Right.
Past
Perfect. Yeah.
questions.
No
Yeah.
worries. I'm with you. So yeah. So this is the link. I don't know if you've had. Is this what you're referring to, Pascal? Yeah. This page
Yeah.
here. Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So right next to past paper here, it says mark scheme, right?
Yeah.
So for example, I'm gonna just do this quickly.
Mm.
So I now have the test open on one page here, and then the mark scheme for that test on the next page. So I'm just gonna go through quickly what I would do. So
Okay.
if I was practicing this test, I would say, okay, so I have section 1. This is section 1, okay?
Yeah.
I'm gonna just go through and answer all of these, right?
Yeah.
Go through. Once you've gone
Yeah.
through, I would do it section by section because there is the timer, right? And you don't want to, run out of time and then you can't check your answers.
Yeah.
It's quite hectic. But
Yeah.
what I'd say is do it if you just make sure that you have enough time to check the answer. So maybe do it question by question, depending on how long you take per question.
Yeah.
But kind of say, okay, so question 1, which word best describes the tone of writing? I'm going to go derogatory or disapproving. Then section 1, question 1, which word best describes the tone of writing? Derogatory. Sorry, no, disapproving. I was right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then anything on the Moodle, like here, kind of these exercises below, you can email these to me. Send me a picture on WhatsApp or email me. I will mark them, give you some feedback, and any other questions you have. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. I think I may have to, because I'm just noticing these past questions.
Yeah.
Recently, just a few days ago from Ramen, I didn't know.
Yeah.
So, and I have a test that I have booked already.
Yes.
I may have to shift that test to, go through this.
Yeah.
More.
We can do that. If you want, Pascal, I can give you a call after this meeting and we can I can talk to you about it. Yeah, would that be yeah, okay, good. I'll drop you a call.
Thank you.
No worries. Does anyone have any other questions for me? Because I think that's pretty much everything from my side.
Hello, Andrew. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi Roland. Hi, how can I help you?
Yeah, I'm good. A little bit busy right now. I'm in the GBS building. We're
Oh,
doing
are you? Okay.
enrollment.
Yep. Do you wanna do you have some questions for me, Roland?
Uh, uh, yeah, but
Do you wanna
at the
just come
moment
up
now,
and
I have yeah,
yeah?
that's what
Do
I
you wanna come
meant.
up
I
later?
will come
Yeah,
up.
that's fine.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
What time do you think you'll be coming, Roland? So I
I
make
should
sure I'm here.
I should be done by 2:30.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, 2 o'clock
I'll make sure I'm here for 2:30
thereabout.
to 2 o'clock.
2:30.
Yeah. that's fine. I'll be here. You know where we are, don't you?
Sorry. I can't talk right now, so for a lot of people.
No worries.
Yeah, I
Well,
do.
come up later and
Thank you.
I'll give you a hand, yeah? And answer any questions.
Okay.
Okay, no worries.
Okay.
Andrews, Adam, anyone else?
Andrews, I want to ask.
Hi, Andrews, yeah.
Hi. What is the most effective way of communicating with you? Is it through the email or just email? Because,
Sorry, 1 second, Andrews. You're a little bit quiet.
yeah, I said the most effective way to get in touch with you is
Ah,
it through
yes.
call or just
So if you wanted to get in contact with us, it would be, one of the quickest ways would be the WhatsApp. That's kind of our primary source of communication. But if you wanted to get in contact with me specifically, I think my email would be the best way. So I'm gonna just, can you see? 1 second. I'm just gonna share. I'll put it in the chat. Okay, I'll put my email in the chat so you can access that. Okay. But yeah, drop me an email. I'll get to you as soon as possible. As soon as possible. I'm at work Monday to Friday now, so if you need to reach me, those are my hours, 10 till 5. You can reach me there, and I'm pretty quick, pretty good at responding. Same on the WhatsApp. If you text me between those hours, I'll be able to respond to you within 5 to 10 minutes maximum.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. All right, guys. I'm just gonna end the recording.